can die. Okay. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Studios. Live. Lord. Save. Edit. Public, no. Yeah, entertainment, why not? Thumbnails. Let's edit thumbnail. Thanks. Okay. Save. Okay. Okay.
Some might think that OverLord is just a dumb, OP main character, isekai harem type garbage with little to no depth and pedestrian plot.
Not really.
If you do, you made some spelling mistakes in the word conception. Ainsama's story is by no means simple. Yeah, sure, he gets teleported to another world with some waifus and broken abilities, but there are plenty of nuances that you might have overlooked.
What kind of nuance? Oh,
Hello, comrade. My name is
Marcus.
Marcus. Come, get yourself a beverage and sit down with me. We got season 1 to look into. I've already made a video about some OverLord details, however, it did not fit everything I wanted to talk about. On top of that, I was more or less bound by a spoiler warning, so this time we go at it with major plot points, light novel stuff, etc. You've been warned is all I'm saying.
Okay.
If there is one misconception that a lot of dudes are guilty of, is that Yggdrasil is a good and exciting game. It must be, right? We've got previously unheard of freedom in every possible aspect except for the most important one, classes upon classes to build your character around, and the character itself can be pretty much anything. It's a dream for many RPG fans, and I can totally see why people are drooling over it. However, did you forget how many times Ainsama used the cash shop item to change the tide of battle? He did it several times with Shaltir, saved Gazov, gave them to Henry. He doesn't shy away from using them in a situation where he didn't need them in the first place. Just like many Asian MMORPGs, Yggdrasil is a shameless gacha, and the fact that it's lasted for so many years means that there's either hasn't been any competition, which is kinda possible given how fucked up shit got by the year 2138, or all of the gacha bullshit was not enough to overshadow the positives of the game. An attentive listener will say that I'm contradicting myself, and will be somewhat right. The reason for that is perspective. Western gaming world is drastically different from the Eastern. Remember Diablo Immortal? How the community was outraged, how websites refused to make guides for it, and entire countries banning the game? Well, hate to break it to you, financially it was a huge success and its ROI is astronomical. Who cares that it will be forgotten in a year or so? The monies have been made and a new project is already in production. That's how Asian game industry is, and has been for a while. People actually whale their entire salaries to get an edge over others in a game that will disappear before the next Christmas. And the worst part, it's coming to us, because that shit works. Damn gamers, they ruined our games. I bet you my last bag of tea, Momonga was opening those loot boxes like no tomorrow. As much as we see skill being a decisive factor, proper preparations, deception and optimal ability usage, but when there are items that literally help you bypass core game mechanics like cast time, pay to win is an understatement, to say the least. On the topic of unfair advantage and something being a considerable threat to Nazareth, we got to address Inferior. This kid for sure is talented when it comes to alchemy and scoring so damn well that he ends up regretting it at times, as well as having an actual tangible talent called magic item affinity. A quick word about talents. In the new world, this is a quirk, so to speak, something you are born with and it cannot be changed, which means that if you are a small brain and somehow got a magic related talent, too bad.
Son.
However,
Why
most
would
of
you
the
be a
time
small
they're more useful
brainer?
than not and are highly regarded by people around them. Prime examples are, of course, Enfi and his wrinkly old ass, whose talent can see the size of your magic cock. Very useful to evaluate an opponent and so on,
like
but
that.
does not give
I
you an
like that
advantage over
reference.
someone in battle or everyday life. Mr. Bangs, on the other hand, has a very scary ability. You see, when I say magic item affinity, I mean all magic items. And unfortunately for Ainsama, Staff of Ainsol Gong counts as one of them, along with many other things locked away in the mausoleum. I don't think we're talking about world items here, as it looks like they can be used by anyone more or less. Still, I don't need to elaborate on how dangerous the situation might be if Inferi is to acquire a high-level item. Although, I don't see him willingly go against the Bone Daddy because of our dude saving Henry and his own life a few times, plus his admiration as a magic user, and in general, he's not that dumb. What can happen though is exactly what we've seen, somebody taking control and doing something potentially harmful to Nazareth. Forget this
Okay,
kindergarten nonsense and a few low level undead.
Crusade
If
is
Slaying
alright,
Theocracy
let's
had all cards in
go.
hand, like information on
Yeah,
Inferior's
baby,
talent and were a
yeah.
bit more cautious, Shaltir could have been a much bigger problem. Moving on to something less thrilling, to the time when Momon had a little altercation
his
with the
editing,
innkeeper.
though.
That whole scene never made sense to me, and
Okay,
hear
I'm
me
gonna-
out on this
oh,
one.
okay, I'm
A
gonna
fully
give it,
geared
like,
dude with
I
a
love
beautiful
this
woman
video.
in tow rolls up to this shitty place. They ask for a room and the guy at the counter is like, "For you sir specifically, 7 copper instead of 5 because you are a newbie copperplate." The fuck? Okay, even if we don't consider the fact that this is a 7-foot tall absolute unit of a man, you mean to tell me that his visibly well-off ass cares about 2 copper coins? I'd understand if we are in a game and this is a starting zone in which you're supposed to be some chicken chaser from the nearest village, but
Yeah,
this is
boy.
a real world where people have some degree of intelligence.
They
Well, the
should.
situation is just poorly explained in the anime, and you can figure it out if you pay attention. In the novel, when Momon arrived, the innkeeper asked, "How long are you staying?" And after being told 1 night, he replied with 5 copper. Then Play Daddy inquired about a double room and the guy didn't like it, asking if the adventurers knew why they were sent here of all places.
Oh my
The following
God.
negative response got him even more riled up, and he berated them for a bit about ranks and how to do this adventuring thing. But, when faced with a calm reaction, agreed to rent a double room for 7 copper. As you can see, in this context, it's Momon's ignorance about how the system works that got him so angry. The innkeeper was legit concerned that the noobs won't be able to form a party if they stay in a separate room, risking their lives in the field. Damn, what a nice dude, all things considered. Speaking of all things considered, I once again want to talk about the brilliance of Ainsama. It's funny, when people try to convince me that
Kick
Musa
it
is
over,
actually
why?
smart and is doing things right, I get excited and look into whatever is being pitched to me, only to find that this man is as dumb as a brick, and even Patrick, God forbid, Star makes more fucking sense. Seriously, the more I look into it, the more convinced I become of his idiocy, and it's
Wait,
the same
who's-
with Ainsama, except it's the opposite. The more
Huh?
I try to understand why people call him stupid, the more intelligent he appears. Check this out. He got transported to this world and has no idea what the hell is going on here. Then some people give him a rundown of major events, a geography lesson, a general overview of the situation. Next thing you know, he was able to deduce that Slaying Theocracy is pouring oil on the fire of
Nice,
conflict
thank
between
you.
Baharut and Riestes. Then, after speaking to Gazev, he concluded that these new forces are after him and that he is quite despised for whatever reason. Bone Daddy didn't need his advisors or even some time to think on the matter. He just... You know what? I've talked about it previously. He is actually smart, so let's get to the last part of the video. Feelings. Yep, that thumbnail wasn't a clickbait. During the events of Shaltir's rebellion, we get a very touchy dialogue between Albedo and Ainsama, where he mentioned that he saved himself a spot in the mausoleum, implying that he might leave too, which obviously upset and shook Albedo to
Gotta
the
kill
core,
this
as it would
dragon,
mean that the
let's
last
go.
of the Supreme Beings is planning to go. Yeah, pretty sad, but come on, they've only been here for how many days? A week
Yeah.
max? No way the ex-NPCs were able
What do you
to build
mean,
up so
no
much
way?
grief in such a short period of time. Here is when I recall the conversation between Shaltir and Sebas, the one about Boku Boku Chagama voicing a character for an adult game. At first glance, it's nothing short of comedic relief and giving us some insight on the great ones. However, this one thing didn't click with me until much later. Everybody in Nazarick remembers Yggdrasil and everything that happened within the tomb. Shit. How many years did it last? Look at the situation from Albedo's point of view. For years, she has been witnessing the Great Ones disappearing. First it was others, then it was her own creator, and ultimately there was almost nobody left. Remember when Momonga took the mates for a stroll? He had to remind himself about them and how to issue a command, which means that he hasn't done that in a while. Our lovely Succubus and the entire squad have been hella lonely, staying on their floors, patrolling and diligently following orders bestowed upon them by their parents, who then left. And then, all of a sudden, they get so much attention from the leader of the Supreme Beings, they pledge their loyalty, they go and do stuff together out in the world, no longer limited by Nazarick. No fucking shit Albedo is distressed just by a mere thought of losing her precious darling, and that she'll do anything and everything to prevent that. She went as far as to create an elite squad to hunt down players to make sure that Ain-sama will never reunite with them and get a reason to depart. Truly, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Call her yandere all you want, but this over here hit me right in the feels, especially after realizing what she has been through.
No!
So yeah, OverLord is not just about a guy with a bunch of waifus. This show has so much going on the storytelling and emotional level that it doesn't matter what's going on the screen. Be it comedy, a grand political drama, or a story about a local team of adventurers who met their end in darkness. All you need to do is pay just a bit more attention and you'll be rewarded. It was I, Mahis, tearing up into the microphone. Have a great, whatever time of the day you have. Until next time, cheers.
Okay, let's get this done and over with. Oh shit, how am I supposed to fight this one? God dang it. Oh. How do I even start this? Okay, next video. What should I watch next? Okay, let's go this.
Until a couple months ago, we never heard of him. And then the other day, virtually every tech company on the planet banned him. Not just his presence, but also his ability to conduct business on the internet. He was taken off Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, all of it. Then they started telling you that not only was he not allowed to talk, but that you weren't allowed to like him because he was an incredibly bad person. And our view on that always is we'll decide for ourselves, since we're adults and Americans, and we'll listen to anyone we want. We'll come to any conclusion we care to come to about what that person is about.
I don't really feel like I've exposed anything. Like, I'm truly not a very political person. This is the first time someone's experienced this level of ban. I'm not particularly right-wing. I don't vote. I mean, I obviously have my own personal views, but they didn't ban me for that. They banned me simply because I had large swaths of the population.
I would agree that most of the things that he says about, like, what I've seen, again, I've seen probably 10% of things that he's done. It seems like there's not really a exclusive political slant. He just dislikes the leadership, which is like everybody fucking thinks that. That's not very brave.
Hopefully
either.
I can do this, guys.
But
hopefully I can do this, because
agreeing to very traditional masculine values. Teenage men and young men, 22, 23, 24, were looking up to me and aspiring to be like me. I have a very traditionally masculine life. I have fast cars and a big house and a lot of money and a beautiful girlfriend. And they thought this was very, very threatening. And for some reason, they decided that it's better if they annihilate me from the internet and replace me with somebody who's more aligned with 76. Whatever they're trying to purport.
Tell us what your message is to young men.
Yeah, so I think that being a man is very, very difficult. I think that men's issues are largely overlooked. The people in charge of the world pretend to care.
I would agree that a lot of men's issues are not taken as seriously. I think that recently that's changed a lot, and it's a good thing. But it's changed as a result of people complaining about it.
Drink a man up.
I think that a lot of guys, it's like, be a man. Like, I saw one thing, it was like 2 weeks ago,
right now, guys.
some
Super
girl, you know, some teacher, female teacher, had, and it even had in the news thing, it's like she had underage sex with like her 12-year-old student. Bitch, that's rape. What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? And then it makes me so fucking mad. And like, I can understand that like there's gonna be the fucking 55-year-old boomers. Where was she whenever I was in school? They didn't look like that then. I'll tell you something. You're gonna get that. I'm not mad at that.
Let's go. Woohoo! I did it.
But the fucking news publication, the title of the fucking article. Oh, and the person only got 3 months in jail. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, I can see where guys would be pissed off. I think that's a huge fucking problem. 3 months, it's disgusting. To be fair, I think that it was a sexual relationship, and it might not have necessarily been explicitly sex. Maybe they were just sending pictures to each other.
Plume
I wonder what that's called.
But when somebody who's championing men's issues like myself comes forward and finally manages to garner huge percentiles of the public support, I'm silenced. So they're not really interested in men's issues, and there's a lot of young men growing up today that feel very disaffected.
Why does this
feel
fucking
invisible.
happen?
The agendas that are being forced down their throats are not agendas they align with, or they feel affinity to, or agendas they want. And I basically just say to men, look, it's a very hard life. You're gonna need...
I agree with the problem. I just don't agree with his solution. Like, I do agree it's a problem, absolutely.
To get up, work hard, go to the gym. Strong body is a strong mind. You're going to have to reject listening blindly to everything you're told. Reject the slave mind. Think for yourself. Get a strong network of brothers. Work aside them. Don't tolerate low-quality people in your life, which means don't tolerate men who just smoke drugs and play video games.
We got
or men who are disloyal or dishonest. Don't tolerate women or girlfriends who are disloyal or dishonest. And
I really hope that, like, the thing is, with Tucker Carlson, I really hope he asks him about the comments on women. Because, like, yeah, sure, you give the person their opening statement to express who they are. That's totally fine. But if Tucker Carlson doesn't even fucking touch and even press a little bit on the fucking sex trafficking thing, why he left Romania, the videos of him hitting people, and then him saying, oh, she's laughing. Oh, that's crazy. She's laughing so hard there's tears coming out of her eyes. Wow, that's isn't that something special? And it must have been a really good joke. And the another thing is there's the thoughts on the views on women in general, right? Things that he had said. Because I feel like if he doesn't even touch on that, Tucker Carlson doesn't even touch on that, I think it's going to be very disingenuous. We're going to have to see. Tucker's a clown. I'm not interested on if Tucker is a good or a bad guy. I don't give a fuck about that. I just want him to give it a fair shake.
Try and build and create a reality full of high-quality people in which you can resist the programming that the Matrix tries to influence you with, and grow up truly happy. And what happens is when I say these things...
I don't understand why somebody like Tucker Carlson doesn't just go up and do the thing that he... Like, say what's real. Like, what's your life about? What has it all been for if you can't go up in front of the whole fucking world and say what it really is? Why? Money? What are you talking about? Fucking money. The guy's he's the heir to Swanson. The amount of money he's getting paid from Fox is nothing. He's doing this for fun.
Nice, we got 3 people.
I don't understand.
Ignore 95% of what I say. They ignore me saying that you need to avoid low-quality men, and they take the bit where I say avoid women who are dishonest, and then they put it on a reel, a very short 3 or 4 second clip, and then they say I'm a misogynistic person and I'm dangerous to women and I need to be banned. The problem is that the majority of young men in the world today are completely invisible, and social media has made them invisible.
Okay, I'm waiting for the words.
If you go into an Instagram feed...
That's true. A lot of guys... I actually had a video that I had planned on watching with you guys, and it was, where is it? Fuck, I'm trying to find it. Did I not see it here? It's one of these. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not. Maybe it got taken down or something like that. I think that's what happens. Men are. There's a lot of men that are invisible. Absolutely. The fact is, there's a lot of women who are invisible too. It's because a lot of guys don't stand out. They're boring, unsuccessful, unattractive, and uninteresting. So they don't stand out. It's like, wow, another guy that plays League of Legends all the time and has very strong views on politics. How unique. Oh, he watches anime too?
Please don't hit me. Please don't hit me. Oh
Holy shit. I can't believe it. Of course they're invisible. I think that the problem is that what I wish Andrew Tate would have said more, or would say more, is that a lot of men are invisible because they don't try to do things that make themselves visible.
Thank you.
It's the same as if you go into a room and there's 10 girls in the room, and one girl is super fucking hot because she works out every day, she's wearing makeup, she's wearing nice clothes. The other 9 are going to be invisible to you. You know what I mean? He does say that, though. Well, it's not what it's being implied. Again, I cannot state that he has or has never. Like, I've seen a lot of his stuff. I've seen some of his stuff. I don't know. It has not seemed that way to me. It has seemed to me more that the men, it is happening to them. And I wish there was more messaging about the fact that they are also doing it to themselves. That's my opinion.
Ooh.
You have extremely beautiful women,
nice.
which is fine.
The dragons, guys.
They're beautiful. They're allowed to take pictures.
I like
but
that.
the only men who have followers are men with massive social status, right? Men with Ferraris and money, or rappers, or people who have YouTube channels. Interesting people. If you're a normal man with a normal job, you don't really exist in the online world. It's very difficult to get followers. Nobody replies to your...
I don't know. I find that to be like a disingenuous comparison because there's a lot of girls that are normal and they don't look, you know, like if you're a 5 out of 10 girl, like you don't have a bunch of followers on Instagram either. I have plenty of real life friends that are girls. I know this might sound crazy, but I actually know a few girls in real life. And I've seen their Instagram. They have maybe a couple hundred followers. Like, this is very common. It's way easier for women than it is for men, is what he's saying. To do what? Like, I'm gonna be honest, man. This might come off as sexist. I'm so glad I'm a guy. I am. I am so fucking glad I am a guy. I wake up and I thank God every morning I'm a guy. Absolutely. If like, yeah, same? Exactly. You're goddamn fucking right.
Where's the dang?
DMs, you don't really matter. You don't have access to the sexual marketplace. It's very difficult for you to even get any kind of recognition that you're even alive.
Yeah.
And a lot of men feel lost and lonely because of that.
That's
and
true.
I was championing to a degree there.
Everything that Andrew Tate is saying is true about men. I'm just saying it's not exclusive to men. However, everything that he's saying is true.
Issues by saying to them, look, that is unfair perhaps, but that's the way the game works.
That's right.
You need to become a man of importance. You need to become a man of influence.
Agreed.
Or you're going to suffer the pain of being invisible forever. Here is how you do it.
He's right.
I wasn't trying to change the rules of the game. I was just telling the men how to win because I came from nothing and I'm completely and utterly self-made. And I think the reason a lot of men are so depressed is because they feel invisible. They feel like the life is too hard. Women expect me to be strong and smart and funny and interesting with a nice apartment and a fast car and tall and well connected and funny, and it's just too much for them to handle. And the social pressure on men is absolutely immense. And I was championing their issues. And at the same time, all these social media platforms pretend to care. As soon as somebody they resonate.
Let's be honest. The reason why he got taken off the social media platforms, I personally don't think had a lot to do with him championing men's issues. How do I know this? Because there are a lot of other people who also champion men's issues that are not removed from social media, right? So it's clearly not because of that. Because if it was, then all of them would be removed too. but they're
a
not.
lot of
And
good
they even say a
experience,
lot
though,
of this
that's for
same
sure.
stuff. They even say that men have it worse in the sexual marketplace. They even say the exact same stuff.
With stands up and champions their issues, they mass blanket ban me, which shows they have absolutely no care for the young men of the world today. They think that by banning me, I'm just going to vanish and the young men are just going to go and start eating the gruel that they're fed on their YouTube feed. They don't want to read. They don't want to see transgender people wear makeup. They don't want to see that. They want to see a man who has a bunch of money and a nice life and some fast cars and is strong and is confident. They want an action hero, and that's something that large portions of the world still want to be.
Oh,
yeah. And YouTube and social media platforms obviously just
Okay.
don't like the idea
go
of
for the
that. They
bubble.
want to get rid of me and try and replace me with something they see as far more malleable, trying to create people which are more malleable and more easy to program and more easy to control.
So news accounts in the United States
Cut.
say that the U.S. Embassy in Bucharest, Romania, was tipped off.
Yeah, he was about to, the reason why is he was about to circle around to the fact that, you know, one of the biggest culprits of that is mainstream media. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but this is on Fox, which is mainstream media. So they're like, okay, let me just stop you right there. We know where you're going.
To your misdeeds and alerted the local authorities you might be committing human trafficking.
Yeah.
Given that this is the same charge they leveled
okay,
against Julian
okay, okay.
Assange or a species of it, you know, skeptical, but I want to know the details. Were you arrested for human trafficking? What happened?
Yeah, I was not arrested.
I don't
Nice.
think that
Dead.
Julian Assange was arrested or was charged for human trafficking. I thought it was like sexual assault or something like that. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. He was?
Oh, okay,
It was
okay, so you
he
got
was?
it.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah, it
never
was a
mind.
very long time ago. It was rape? Yeah, something like that.
So what happened is I suffered from a case of swatting. It's very popular with people who are large on the internet. Many large YouTubers have been swatted. It's where you call the police and you say somebody has a gun or there's a hostage situation and the SWAT team arrives. Somebody made a phone call to the American embassy saying that I was holding women at my house. The police arrived. And let me state this now. I state this openly to the world.
Let's go to
I have
source
absolute
rest. We
respect
can
for the
do
police.
some
I would hate
quests
to live in a
over there.
country where if you call the police saying women are being held against their will, that the police don't respond. That would be terrible. Of course they should come and look. Absolutely. They turned up. They investigated. They realized that nobody was in the house against their will. There was no crime committed. They said, okay, you're not a suspect, but you are a witness to this, along with me, my brother, the housekeeper, the gardener. Everybody who was in the premises at the time was labeled a witness. We had to go to the police station for 45 minutes for pieces of paper. We filled them in and we were let go. I was swatted. Nobody was hurt. There's no human trafficking. There's no women who were tied up. There's none of these things. It's all just complete fallacy.
You probably made some of these companies mad with your views on COVID. So some of
It's hard to say. Because, like, for example, like he said whenever he was
Where's the
talking about a
other
girl
quest?
having OnlyFans that's his money, for example. So that implies a level of ownership. And how is that ownership exercised? You see what I'm saying? Like, just because somebody is not tied up in a basement with rope and duct tape over their face doesn't necessarily mean that they're, you know, not still part of this. So I don't know if I'm going to say this. I don't know if these allegations are true or not. And to be honest with you, I'm not going to say that they are. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't have what the police have. And obviously the police don't know either because they're not trying to get him. There are plenty of ways that they could extradite him. Or at least attempt to.
for us, if you would,
Was
what
he
you
convicted
think
or
the
arrested? No, he was
response to
not.
COVID globally did to the populations of the West.
Yeah, so I certainly made them mad with my views on COVID. I don't want to go to conspiracy theory, and I would also never kill myself. Let me just say that here for the record.
Okay.
But at the time of COVID first being announced, my brother
not talking
and I
about Hillary
decided
Clinton, it'll be fine.
we sat and had a very logical conversation, and we sat and said, We're two young fighting age males. If COVID can kill us, then the world is over. It's zombie apocalypse time. So there's no point hiding. We may as well go out with a bang. So my brother and I flew to Stockholm, Sweden. Now, I don't know if many people know this, but Sweden never closed down.
Yeah.
Stockholm and Sweden never closed down, never made you wear masks, never mandated the vaccine. At the very beginning of COVID, when the rules were strictest, when Florida was still closed, when Miami was still closed, when the Republican states were still closed, Stockholm, Sweden was wide open with full nightclubs.
That was my understanding.
And a party scene like you've never seen. And we lived in Sweden for 3 solid months with zero restrictions, zero worry or interest in COVID. It was like the world was completely normal. And from there, when we left, obviously COVID was still going on. And in a neighboring country, you go to Germany, and they were having full panic attacks. Genuine panic attacks if you didn't have a mask on. And it was just very obvious to me. I was like, I've spent the last 3 months ignoring this, and I'm fine.
I mean, one factor that's different with the U.S. and Sweden is there's a lot more fat people and unhealthy people here in the U.S. So we're going to get more people that are going to be hurt by COVID because it's going to be, it's like a multiplier effect. Just saying? Yeah, I'm just saying. Like, Sweden's a more healthy country. So I think that there's going to be a higher probability. It's like, and this is always what the problem with talking about COVID was, is that nobody actually wanted to have a genuine conversation. Nobody ever wanted to talk about, you know, other variables like this. Like, oh, well, you know, you have population density, you have, you know, transmission, you have the, you know, general, you know, well-being of the population. They just don't even want to talk about this. That's why I never talked about COVID on my stream, because it was just a waste of fucking time. I mean, really, like, I found it to be more useful for my time to talk about the BLM riots and stuff like this. I thought that was a better chance of me getting through to people what I thought my message was than COVID. Nobody wanted to talk about anything. They brush you off and you present facts. Of course they do.
And now I'm in Germany, surrounded by panic attacks.
Right.
And endless mass. This doesn't make sense. And I told the truth on social media. I said, this is obviously an overreaction. The decimation of your income, the fact you can't go get a doctor's appointment for a genuine ailment or a genuine risk of cancer, for example. The fact that you can't see your loved ones in their final days. These things are far more destructive than the common cold. I think that what they're doing is unfair. I think it's a massive overreaction. And this is based on my personal experience. And I think at the time there was a lot of pushback, but I would like to think now that 99% of the world see I was totally right.
I mean, I don't know about that. It's kind of hard to say. Like, it's like you can't say that he was totally right after the fact.
No,
because a lot of people have the vaccine.
Wrong.
And let's be honest, it seems like people that have the vaccine probably get COVID a bit less. Like, they probably get COVID a bit less and it's not as bad. On average. This is an on average thing. Never had it. Yeah, not true. No, they don't, but the symptoms are lighter. They also die from heart attacks more. I've heard about that. I'm not sure how true it is or not. But what I'm saying is, like, obviously this is not a very good assessment because most people are vaccinated now, so you can't compare the two things.
You know, it's kind of funny, Tucker. I'll tell you, when at the height of COVID, I used to say to my brother,
what's this here? I had long COVID after catching it for a year. Second dose vaccine, you lose your protection in a year. Chat scientist. Let's look it up. Let's see. How likely are you to get COVID if you have versus don't have the vaccine? Yeah, Google for COVID info. TYBW thinks Google isn't censored.
What?
What? I mean, like, so it's either true or it's not. Literally really hard to look up. Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to say. You're going to get lies and government answers? Well, how do you know what you're getting isn't a lie or a government answer? How do you know that you're not just getting a different flavor of lie? People always think that the thing that's different is the thing that's true. Sometimes it's just two different lies. God fucking how is it so hard to find information about this? This is insane. This is absolutely insane. No easy response on that with all the different variants. Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Yeah, and check back in 10 years when somebody does a documentary of this shit. Yeah, exactly. Whole point of getting vaccine is your body build immunity against virus, right? Why does COVID vax not work like the chickenpox vax? I don't know. Like, I mean, you guys know. Throughout the whole thing, I never told people, oh, you should go get the vaccine. I never said this. I never said not to do it either. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. Yeah, I've never said that. Why not? Because I don't know. People should make their own decisions. Here we go.
How will people struggle with the cognitive dissonance?
If I can't find, by the way, if I can't find a graph and I can't prove it, then as far as I know, it's not true. I think that it's true that like people that had the vaccine probably got it less. But if I can't find any data on that, then fuck. Like I'm not gonna die on that hill. Sure, maybe I'm wrong on that.
Dissonance when this is all over, because COVID is still out there. Nothing's gone away. The thing that we were all hiding from is still right there, out there to get you. But now everyone walks around and they're not scared of it anymore. And I'm like, are people critical enough to analyze themselves and say, for a year...
Haven't COVID rates been going up? I've heard from somebody that COVID rates... My dad said that COVID rates were going up. Yeah, I think that, yeah, because it's over. Well, it's because people don't give a fuck anymore. People have like a... Even with Donald Trump, probably by the time it was like 2018, 2019, it was like, yeah, Trump's the president, it is what it is, right? People at a certain point just get tired of being upset and worried about something. And they just want to move on with their fucking life. I think that's what happened.
Double true.
I didn't know the media rates are going up because the media says it is. Yeah. I mean, yeah, everything could be a lie. I mean, for sure. Like that's definitely a factor. Like that absolutely could be the case.
Of my life, I was deathly afraid of something. Now I'm exposing myself to said thing, and I'm not afraid anymore. The media tricked me, and I was a fool. But they're not. They don't even seem to self-analyze and go, I got tricked. They're just like, oh, okay, next thing. Hey, Andrew now.
Well, it's because people, like, they think the same thing that I think. They think that because people got the vaccine, COVID is not as bad. It doesn't put as much of a strain on the hospitals because the symptoms aren't as bad. And so it's more manageable by the government and the different apparatuses that are supposed to deal with health problems. So that's why people think that it's different. That it's logical.
Like robots. It's mind-bending, truly.
So I saw you compare the experience of rich people under COVID, you're one of them, to everybody else. What did you notice about that? It seemed like a two-tiered response.
Okay, here we go.
Woo, boy, that was close.
Yeah, so the story was very simple. I was flying inside of Europe. There's a lot of low-cost air carriers. It's only low-cost primarily. There's not much first class, business class, anything like that. And I was flying. And my experience was plagued by endless paperwork, wearing a mask, put the mask over your nose. Every time you eat, you have to put the mask on in between. I got told off for not having...
In Texas, brother, let me tell you something. That wasn't a situation. That just wasn't no motherfucking situation over here in Texas.
The mask up high enough. I got told off for drinking too long because my mask wasn't on.
What's a mask?
Pure panic and chaos. And because I'm fortunate enough to be fiscally secure, from there I decided I'll just buy private jets from now on. And when I bought a private jet, there was no masks, no paperwork, no mask at the airport when I landed. My air stewardess was not wearing a mask. My pilot was not wearing a mask. COVID didn't exist once I bought a private jet. Very interesting. Maybe if you're rich enough, COVID can't take maybe COVID scared for sure. But it seems that everyone who's flying on private jets never had to worry about COVID ever. It's just the people at the bottom who had to worry
Well,
about
of
COVID.
course they had to worry about COVID. That's why they were fucking singing bullshit in their bathroom and posting it on Twitter for validation. How many celebrities did that during COVID? Oh my God, that drove me crazy.
COVID. And it's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
Life's always been two-tiered. There's always been this separation in regards to fiscal access. But I think a lot of people in the world today don't realize that it still very much exists. And a lot of the rules are only the rules for a certain class of people. And once you pass a certain wealth index or a certain level of money, you can do basically whatever you want. And COVID really highlighted that to me. And it's truly sad.
I'm glad that he says that because he's totally right. Yeah, he's totally fucking
God,
right.
come
Like, you know,
on!
the list. Who's the Ghislaine Maxwell? The fucking Jeffrey Epstein lady. Where's the list of people? Who are the people that she was trafficking? Well, I don't know. I mean, you know, who has any idea? It's like, who could possibly figure out who these individuals are? Bobby Kotick was one of them. You know that? Yeah, if you make enough money, you don't have to follow the rules.
I mean, it's easy for me to make a joke of it, but when I would fly on a private jet and do whatever I wanted, or go to Sweden and party in nightclubs and do whatever I wanted, and then I'd come to, let's say, England and see my friend who couldn't go see his dying grandmother because of a COVID restriction.
That's too much.
That's truly sad.
Yeah.
That's truly criminal. It's really crazy what's happened and how the world's just moved on, and the cognitive dissonance that people don't have enough respect for themselves and for the truth to analyze how they were so easily fooled. It's really sad to even think about, but maybe that was the beginning of me being disliked by just pointing out my human experience.
This is the way I looked at it, right? Is like, as somebody who is not a scientist, okay? Not a scientist, got a C in chemistry. It's not my thing. I don't really care about that kind of stuff. I usually would wear a mask. You know, especially with my mom, right? I couldn't take a chance on if it was fake or not. I couldn't take a chance on if it was, you know, the common cold or not. Not with my mom. So I had to wear a mask, right? I did that. And so that's obviously what I did. I even wash my hands sometimes. Now, in my mind, this was like the logic that I had with why I thought a mask would work, right? So, damn, wait, what? Wait, what did I say? Out of character? Oh, wash my hands. Oh, yeah. I thought I said something bad. Anyway, so I talk a lot. And I spend a lot of time talking in front of a glass desk. I have a glass desk, and every week or so, I look at the desk and I see little bits of like spit. And by the way, I'm not special. You're the exact same as me. And so I clean my desk. And I assume that in those pieces of spit, there exists a potential that the COVID virus could be in that spit. And so to the extent that the mask blocks the spit, it will probably reduce, not remove the chance of, reduce the transmission.
Oh, this course
and
is so fucking
acquisition of
annoying,
COVID.
guys. Why would it be so annoying?
That was my logic. That's what I thought. So yeah. That's literally how it works. And so that's what I thought. Well, I guess now maybe that's not true. Maybe that's not the case. But that seemed like a good idea to me. You know, a C grade chemistry student. That's why I did it.
Experiences during the pandemic. But I want to tell you something that's actually kind of scary about this banning.
Yeah.
It all came so hard and so fast.
Same grade.
That I don't know if they all just follow each other. I don't know if they're all influenced by each other. I don't know if there's someone above them all. I don't know. But when they go to cancel you, ladies and gentlemen, it comes hard and fast. You lose
I think the reason why it happens is that the different companies don't want to be the one stuck holding the hot potato, because that could make them less attractive to advertisers. So I'm not 100% on board with it being a cabal. I don't know that it has to be, because everybody acting in self-interest would result in the same outcome.
Nice,
so I can't rule one or the other out. But what I can say is that imagine if Facebook was the only group or the only website that didn't ban Andrew Tate. It's the same thing as people today went and they said, oh, Rumble platformed Andrew Tate. What do you think the odds are that people are probably going at the Rumble advertisers and saying, hey, listen, like everywhere else fucking got rid of this guy, why aren't you doing it too? I think that it's all a bunch of fucking big tech companies that have a, let's be honest, fiduciary responsibility to make as much money as possible, and they just view him as unprofitable because they could potentially lose advertising money because of him. You see what I'm saying? You see how all this, canceled by capitalism. Yes, that's correct. I've always been of the mindset that any boycott doesn't really fucking matter. Like, most people don't give a shit. And they don't last for a long time. So I don't think that a lot of these problems really manifest in anything that matters one way or another. But I think this is what they believe. It's like three people send an email to the PR representative. Next thing you know, there's a board meeting and $100 million decision is made because of 3 or a half a dozen emails about some fucking dipshit on the internet. That's what I think happens.
Facebook, then your Instagram, then your Gmail, then your Discord, then your website hosting, then your domain name, then your payment processor, then your bank. That, like, it's just like in real time, you're watching your phone and apps just exploding. Boom, boom, boom. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely it. I mean, like, this is one of the times you need to realize you're wrong. What am I wrong about, Jazz? What am I wrong about? Let me read and see what I'm wrong about here. It's a cabal. They won't realize the list because they're on the list. But it is a cabal. Oh, I need to realize that I'm wrong because it is a cabal for sure. So here's the thing. You don't know that. You think that. Don't forget it. You don't know that. Just because you think it really hard doesn't make it true.
So
Andrew
close
Tate,
to
you don't have to agree with everything a man says to believe he has a right to speak in public.
Let me finish it.
And we do believe that. No one gets to tell you who you can watch. No one gets to tell you what you have to think. No one gets to tell you who you have to hate.
So very
You're an American
close.
and an adult. You can make those decisions yourself. So why don't they want you to hear from Andrew Tate? They really
I think, like, I mean, honestly, like, Tucker really needs to do a better job, man. Like, I've seen some of the things, like over the years, I've seen a couple of things from Tucker. It's like, thank God, he's like the only person saying fucking something that's true. What a bunch of dumb bullshit this is. You're on a network that you replaced Bill O'Reilly because they fucking got rid of him. The fact that you're sitting there is because somebody else got canceled. The fuck do you mean? And then also, like, they can't tell you who to hate. Yeah, oh really? Go back to he's older than I am. He fucking knows this better than me. Remember back in 2002, 2003? Imagine, like, voicing any sense of solidarity with the innocent Afghanis and Iraqis that were bombing. Or Muslims that are being called responsible for 9/11. Meanwhile, their grandfather grew up in New Hampshire, and so did they. Just what a bunch of horse shit. This has happened many times. The thing is, the reason why saying stuff like that is so bad is because in everybody's mind, they immediately are going to think this. Like, I'm not the only person that thinks this. I think a lot of people would immediately think, oh, wait a minute, like, what about this? What about that? It's like it's unnecessarily disingenuous. You could have said something that's it's harder to just immediately disprove. The Japanese Americans in the 40s. Yeah, remember that? Well, we'd had the same constitution then.
He's a worse influence on the youth than, say, Cardi B. Tell us how. They're telling us he's a criminal. Okay. Has he been charged? Who are the victims? What are their names? It's going to take a lot more than that to have us believe he should be canceled. Or
I want to see Tucker live react to the video of him hitting that girl. I would want to see. Let's get a reaction video, Tucker. How about this? How about we sit
73
and we can get 10 minutes of the things that people find are the most disagreeable things that Andrew Tate has said about women, about other people, things that he's done on video, and you can watch it, and at the end of the 10 minutes, we'll see what you've got to say.
anyone else, by the way. We're against censorship, period. And more than anything, we're in favor
Heck
of
yeah.
people making up their own.
73, guys. 73.
Didn't people get kicked off Fox News for not supporting the Iraq War? I was very young then. I remember this relatively clearly, but I think this has happened. Yeah, I don't agree with this. I don't think this is true. 30 years ago? Didn't we just pull our troops out like months ago? I mean, yeah, it happened a long time ago. Yeah, sure. All right, fine. Okay, it was in 2005, right? Somewhere around there, 2003, 2005. Okay, whatever. All right, yeah, copium, it's different. Sure. I'll have to think about more recent examples.
Minds based on the evidence, like adults do.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, you can watch the full unedited interview with Andrew Tate after the show on Fox Nation.
Great.
Of course, Tate's not the only person who's being censored. Virtually everyone's being
Salad would be
censored.
nice.
The Pentagon now punishing service members for liking the wrong tweets.
I'm not in the military. I don't give a fuck. That's about it. I don't care about that. Yeah, what's going on? I don't know. Censor from a private company? I bet you wouldn't be saying that if your internet company cut off your internet. I bet you wouldn't be saying that. I bet you wouldn't be saying that if your power company cut off your power. Why don't you think outside the box a little bit? Why don't you think outside the little square that they put you in, and think about the fact that a half a dozen of these massive media conglomerates have effectively a monopoly on the control of information on the entire internet. You tell me that that's a good thing with no fucking oversight. It's not the same thing. Oh, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Oh, do you need the internet to live? Sure, I'll grant you water. Sure, you don't need the internet to live.
Do I have anything I can use here? Fudge.
Nope. Nope.
Piece.
I remember all these facts during decades old. I mean, because I was there. That's why. Yeah, I was fucking there. Dug themselves in so many shitholes as extremist ideology. Yeah, I know. I think that, I think this was, I didn't watch the whole interview on the Fox website.
What?
I don't know about that. Like, I
The
think
hell?
this was like, I feel like this interview was for his base. It wasn't for journalism. It was for his base of people that want to hear about how the social media platforms censor people, and he didn't actually give, like, he didn't really ask any questions, because, like, Andrew Tate, like, I mean, nobody's gonna argue with the shit that he said in the first like 5 minutes. Like, even the COVID stuff is like, okay, whatever, right? Like, I don't really give a fuck about that anymore. But the reality is that it had nothing to do with either one of those things. Yeah, it's every interview on Fox. I find it to be so fucking disappointing. It's like, imagine you get to be literally the top of your fucking profession, and you still have to simp for a fucking, why do you simp? Like, who are you simping for? Like, A bunch of, like, morons? Why? I don't get it, man. They all do the same shit.
Wait
I'm
for the
not,
cooldowns
bro,
to
I'm
be
not
up, and then we'll
singling
go
out
up
Tucker
again.
Carlson. They do it on CNN, MSNBC. I agree with you. I don't like any mainstream media. I think that there's shades of gray, but none of them are in the clear. Yeah, I'm not about this, man. Fame-seeking, soulless people. Nobody's gonna remember the person that stood up and said the same thing that everybody else did. I'll tell you that. It's very disappointing to see. Yeah, it's just very, very disappointing to see. A lot of independent media is also really bad. Yeah, I also want to say that before I fucking go on a rampage talking about how bad mainstream media is. Bro, like, you think about, like, oh wow, like the federal government's so corrupt. Look at the Uvalde police. Shit is corrupt at the highest end. You want to know why? Because there's people that run it. Don't believe any news. What I do whenever I want to find out if something is true or not is I'll read a tweet and I'll look at the comments. And the first comment is like, this is actually not true and here's all the evidence why. Every fucking time I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, how many guys you guys, like, usually whenever I will do something, I will usually look at a couple of different sources and then be like, okay, this probably happened, right? Or like, you know, like, okay, this probably happened because of this probable reason. That's about it. It's good heuristic, not 100% reliable. Nothing is. Corruption isn't a binary thing. No, you're right about that. Yeah, there's corruption like, you know, we'll make it easier for your son to get a driver's license, and there's corruption like, you know, we're just gonna not release the Epstein files. I think there's a difference there. I don't know, but again, I don't know why he, like, just stop playing to your base, man. Like, holy fuck. Like, you know, Tucker Carlson's like the most popular guy in news. Did you guys know that? He's Mr. Number One, and he's gotta pull this simp shit. Can you believe this? Get over it. He's just selling it. Get over it. I know. It makes me mad. It makes me mad, man. Like, why you do that? Like, the thing is, like, now that people watch the videos and, like, watch the show a lot, like, I feel like, bro, like, I'll talk about whatever the fuck I want. And, like, I'll say the shit nobody else will say because it's like, man, who gonna stop me? You know what I mean? Like, now I can do what I want. And I've gone against the audience a lot. Like, there's been a lot of times y'all have disagreed with me. Now, I've obviously been right in every circumstance, and the audience has been wrong in every circumstance. But, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, I'll still say what I think, even if everybody disagrees. I don't know. I wish more people were able to do that.
Bro, that was an epic jump. Epic jump. Okay guys, I'm gonna see you next time. I'm probably gonna